Imagine, for a moment, the faint, rhythmic tick of a clock echoing through a quiet room at midnight. The world outside is still, wrapped in the heavy silence of sleep, while here, in this solitary space, time seems to pause, holding its breath. Each tick feels like a whisper, a reminder of something vast and elusive, something we live by every day, yet seldom stop to question. What is time, really? Is it a river we're carried along in, swift and unyielding, or merely a shadow cast by our own restless minds? As the seconds slip by in this darkened hour, let yourself sink into the mystery, letting go of the day's clamor to wonder, are we bound by time, or is it bound by us? Picture that clock on the wall, its hands moving with a quiet inevitability, marking moments we've learned to count as hours, days, years. We've built our lives around this rhythm. Schedules, deadlines, the relentless march from cradle to grave. But step back for a moment, and the certainty begins to unravel. Long before clocks, before even the first crude sundial caught the sun's arc across the sky, there was something else, something formless. The wind moved through ancient forests, the tides pulled at forgotten shores, and the stars wheeled above in patterns no one yet named. Did time exist then, in that untouched world? Or did it only come into being when we reached out to measure it, to carve it into something we could hold? Consider the strangeness of this invisible force we've woven into every corner of our existence. We speak of saving time, wasting time, as if it were a currency we could hoard or spend. Yet, in the stillness of this midnight hour, doesn't it feel as though time might be something else entirely? A construct, a veil we've draped over, the chaos of being. What if time is not a river, not a shadow, but a mirror, reflecting only what we choose to see? Think of a sleepless night when minutes stretch into eternities, or a fleeting joy that vanishes before you can grasp it. If time bends so easily, to our perception, can we trust it to be anything more than a whisper of our own making? Take a moment to reflect on this. Let your thoughts drift to a memory, perhaps a quiet evening long ago, when the world seemed to slow, and you felt, just for an instant, as if time had slipped its chains. What did that moment reveal to you? Was it a glimpse of something eternal, or simply the mind playing its subtle tricks? Now, imagine standing at the edge of a vast desert, where the sands stretch endlessly under a sky untouched by human hands. Here, there are no clocks, no calendars, only the slow dance of dunes shaped by winds older than memory. In such a place, time feels like a myth, a story told by those far away in bustling cities. Yet even in our modern lives, don't we sense this timelessness sometimes? In the hush of a forest at dawn, or the endless crash of waves against a shore, there's a rhythm that defies our neat divisions of seconds and hours. Could it be that time, as we know it, is merely a tool, a way to order the unorderable, to tame the wild expanse of existence? As the clock ticks softly in this quiet room, let that question linger. What if time is not a truth, but a question? One we've been asking since we first looked up at the turning stars. Perhaps it's not something to solve, but something to feel, to wander through like a dream that fades with the morning light. Let yourself rest in this uncertainty, in the gentle mystery of a midnight hour where time seems to hesitate, inviting you to wonder, to drift, to simply be. Imagine for a moment a world without clocks, without calendars, without the relentless ticking that governs our days. Picture yourself standing in the heart of an ancient desert, where the dunes rise and fall like the breath of the earth itself, untouched by the concept of hours or minutes. The sun arcs overhead, casting shadows that shift with a rhythm older than memory. And the only measure of passing is the slow dance of sand carried by the wind. Here, in this timeless expanse, a question begins to whisper in your mind. Is time truly a force of nature, or is it something we've sculpted with our own hands, a fragile construct to make sense of the chaos around us? Let us drift back to the dawn of human thought, to a time when our ancestors first sought to tame the vast, uncharted flow of existence. In the valleys of ancient Mesopotamia, they carved sundials into stone, watching as the shadow of a stick marked the journey of the sun across the sky. In Egypt, along the banks of the Nile, they tracked the flooding seasons, binding their lives to cycles they could predict and name. Calendars emerged, etched into clay and papyrus, a way to order the planting of crops, the celebration of rituals, the passage of generations. But beyond their villages, beyond the reach of their tools and symbols, the ocean waves crashed endlessly against the shore, indifferent to their markings. The stars wheeled above in patterns unchanged by human will, as if to remind them that their measurements were but a thin veil draped over a mystery far greater. Consider the contrast between these two realms: the human world, where time is sliced into neat fragments, days, months, years, and the natural world, where no such boundaries exist. A mountain does not count the centuries it has stood. A river does not mark the moments it has flowed. These forces simply are, moving through a continuum we cannot fully grasp. And yet we persist in our crafting of time, as though by naming it, by measuring it, we might hold it in our hands. But what if this act of measurement is all that time truly is? What if, without our sundials and clocks, without our need to divide and conquer the endless now, time would cease to exist as we know it? Take a moment to reflect on this. Imagine yourself stripped of every device that tells you the hour, every schedule that dictates your pace. Would the weight of time still press upon you? Or would you feel a strange lightness, as if a burden you never knew you carried had slipped away? In the quiet of this thought, let your mind wander to the desert dune once more, to the ocean's ceaseless tide. Feel the vastness of a world that does not count, does not rush, does not mourn the passing of a second. Is it possible that time, as we experience it, is nothing more than a story we've told ourselves? A story born from our longing to understand, to control, to find meaning in the relentless unfolding of life? This question lingers like a shadow at dusk, growing longer as we peer into its depths. For if time is a human invention, then what lies beneath it? Is there a truer rhythm, a deeper current that flows beyond our perception, untouched by the calendars we've drawn? Or are we forever bound to this illusion, crafting our days into shapes we can recognize, even as the universe moves on without a single tick or tock? Let this thought settle into the stillness of your mind, a quiet ripple in the vast sea of wondering as we sit with the possibility that time, for all its power over us, might be nothing more than a mirror of our own making. Imagine for a moment that the clock you've always trusted, the steady rhythm of seconds and minutes that governs your days, is nothing more than a fragile illusion. What if time, that unyielding force we measure our lives by, could bend, stretch, or even unravel at the edges of the universe? Let's drift into a realm where the familiar tick of the hour hand falters, where the very fabric of time warps under the weight of unseen forces, and where a single moment can stretch into an eternity or vanish in the blink of an eye. Picture a lone astronaut suspended in the infinite void of space, their craft a tiny speck against the backdrop of a colossal black hole. Down here on Earth, we watch the clock, counting minutes, hours, days. But for them, time begins to slip, to distort, as if caught in some cosmic undertow. The closer they drift to that dark abyss, the slower their seconds crawl. A single minute in their world might unfold as a century in ours. Their heartbeat, their thoughts, their very existence seem to pause, while generations rise and fall back on our pale blue dot. This is no mere fantasy, but a truth woven into the laws of the universe, a revelation brought to light by a quiet genius named Albert Einstein. His theory of relativity whispers to us that time is not the rigid march we imagine. It is a fabric, pliable and elastic, stretched thin by the immense gravity of a black hole or the blistering speed of a spacecraft hurtling through the cosmos. Think about that for a moment. Time, the one constant we cling to, the thread that stitches our past to our future, is not the same for everyone, everywhere. It bends, it warps, it dances to a tune we cannot hear. If you've ever felt that some moments slip away too quickly while others drag on forever, perhaps you've brushed against this truth without knowing it. But out there, in the silent expanse of space, this dissonance becomes stark, almost haunting. Our astronaut, caught in the grip of a black hole's gravity, might glance at their watch and see an hour pass, while on Earth, empires crumble and new worlds are born. They are trapped in a bubble of time, isolated from the frantic rush of our reality, adrift in a stillness that defies comprehension. Take a moment to reflect on this. How strange, how almost eerie, to imagine a universe where time refuses to march in unison. Could it be that the very foundation of our days and nights, our beginnings and endings, is nothing more than a trick of perspective? What does it mean for us, here on Earth, to live by a clock that might be lying to us? Consider the astronaut again, their face pressed against the cold glass of their ship, staring into the heart of darkness where even time dares not tread. Are they closer to some eternal truth, or are they lost in the illusion deeper than any we've ever known? This bending of time, this relativity, challenges everything we assume about our place in the cosmos. It suggests that the universe does not bow to our human need for order, for neat divisions of past, present, and future. Instead, it hums with a chaos we can barely grasp, where time becomes a river with countless currents, each flowing at its own pace. Perhaps in this vast and mysterious dance, we are not the masters of time, but merely its fleeting observers, catching glimpses of a reality far stranger than we can imagine. Let that thought linger as we sit here, in the quiet of this moment, pondering a universe where even the ticking of a clock cannot be trusted. Imagine, for a moment, a golden summer afternoon from your childhood, the kind where the sun seems to hang endlessly in the sky, painting the world in a warm, honeyed glow. Laughter echoes through the air as you run barefoot through tall grass, the hours stretching out like an unbroken horizon, as if tomorrow would never come. Now, contrast that with a sleepless night, the clock beside your bed glowing with cruel precision, each tick dragging like a stone pulled through mud, the minutes refusing to release their grip. How can the same measure of time, so rigid, so absolute, feel like a fleeting whisper in one moment and an endless burden in the next? Could it be that time, this invisible force we live by, is not a steady stream at all, but a mirage, a trick woven by the fabric of our own consciousness? Let us wander deeper into this mystery, into the quiet corners of the mind where time seems to bend and twist at will. Think of those childhood summers, where a single day could hold the weight of a lifetime. Every scraped knee, every secret whispered under a tree, every moment of wonder as you watched a butterfly drift lazily in the heat. Time, in those memories, feels like a vast open field, boundless and free, as if the world itself paused to let you live fully within it. Yet, in the stillness of a restless night, when sleep evades you and the darkness presses close, time transforms into a cage. Each second is a heavy chain, each hour an eternity of waiting for a dawn that feels impossibly far. How can something we've measured with such precision, down to the millisecond, be so utterly subjective, so dependent on the lens of our emotions? Consider, too, the moments of profound joy or piercing sorrow, when you've held someone close in a fleeting goodbye. Did time not seem to slow, each heartbeat stretching into a fragile, aching forever? Or in the rush of adrenaline, perhaps during a near miss on a busy road, did the world not freeze, a single second splintering into 1,000 shards of clarity? These experiences whisper a troubling truth. Time, as we perceive it, is not a constant. It ebbs and flows with the tides of our inner world, swelling in moments of intensity, shrinking in the mundane. If our minds can so easily reshape it, if an hour can feel like a day or a day like a fleeting breath, then what is time truly? Is it a river that carries us along, or merely a reflection of our own shifting gaze? Take a moment to reflect on this. Recall a memory where time seemed to slip from its usual rhythm, perhaps a day that raced by too quickly, or a night that lingered far too long. Feel the texture of that moment, the way it bent under the weight of your perception. Could it be that time is not an external force, but a canvas painted by our thoughts, our fears, our joys? Let us drift further into this enigma, stepping beyond personal experience into the broader tapestry of human existence. Throughout history, we've sought to pin time down, to cage it in clocks and calendars, as if by naming its passing we could control it. Yet, even as we've built these tools, our stories and diaries reveal the same disparity. A soldier in the trenches of war might write of days that dragged like centuries, each moment soaked in dread, while a poet in love describes years slipping away like a sigh. From ancient philosophers to modern thinkers, this puzzle persists. If time is so malleable in our minds, if it can stretch and shrink with the tides of emotion, then how can we trust it to be anything more than a construct of our own making? Perhaps the answer lies in the quiet realization that time, at its core, is less a universal truth and more a personal illusion. It is a story we tell ourselves to make sense of change, to mark the journey from one breath to the next. But what if we stepped outside that story, even for a moment? What if we saw time not as a ruler to measure our lives, but as a shadow cast by the light of our awareness? In the hush of this thought, there is a strange freedom, a chance to release the urgency of the ticking clock and simply be here in this fleeting now. Take a moment to reflect on this. Let go of the need to count the seconds. Imagine time dissolving, not as a line marching forward, but as a soft mist that surrounds you, shifting with each thought, each feeling. What do you sense in this space, where time is no longer a master, but a mirror of your own mind? As we linger in this quiet contemplation, the question remains, hanging in the air like a whisper in the dark. If time feels so different in our hearts and minds, if it can be so easily distorted by the way we see the world, then can we ever truly know it? Or is time, in the end, nothing more than a psychological mirage? A beautiful, fleeting illusion that we chase, but never fully grasp. Let this thought settle over you, gentle as a falling leaf, as we rest in the mystery of a force that shapes us, yet eludes us at every turn. Imagine for a moment that you are sitting beneath an ancient tree, its gnarled branches stretching out like the arms of time itself, sheltering you from the weight of the world. The air is still, heavy with the scent of earth and moss, and in this quiet, there is no rush, no urgency, no ticking clock to remind you of what was or what will be. There is only the gentle rustle of leaves, a whisper from the universe that seems to say, "Be here, now." What if this fleeting instant, this singular breath, is all there is? What if the past and future are nothing more than stories we weave to make sense of a reality too vast to grasp? Let your mind wander to this idea, one that has echoed through the ages, from the serene teachings of Zen masters to the quiet reflections of modern thinkers like Eckhart Tolle. They speak of the eternal now, a space where time dissolves like mist under the morning sun. In this moment beneath the tree, there are no regrets clawing at your heart, no anxieties about a tomorrow that may never come. The burdens of yesterday do not exist here. They are phantoms, shadows cast by a mind desperate to organize the chaos of existence. And the future, it is a mirage shimmering on the horizon, always out of reach, always dissolving when you draw near. What remains is this: the coolness of the ground beneath you, the rhythm of your breath, the faint hum of life unfolding in its own silent way. Consider how we live, so often caught in the illusion of time's forward march. We mark our days with milestones, with memories we cling to and plans we chase, as if life is a line stretching endlessly in two directions. But what if that line is a fiction, a construct we've built to feel safe in a universe that defies such neatness? What if every moment is a singular eternity, unconnected to what came before or what lies ahead? The Zen koan asks, what is the sound of one hand clapping? Perhaps it is the sound of now, a silence so profound it shatters the illusion of time altogether. Take a moment to reflect on this. Let your thoughts settle like leaves falling gently to the earth. Feel the weight of the present, not as a fleeting second to be seized, but as a boundless space where you simply are. In this space, there is no need to run from the past or reach for the future. There is only the rustle of those leaves, the whisper of the wind, the quiet pulse of your own being. Now, let your imagination deepen this inquiry. Picture yourself rising from beneath that tree, walking slowly through a world frozen in this eternal now. The people you pass are not rushing to appointments or haunted by old wounds. They too are simply here, their eyes reflecting the same timeless stillness. The river nearby does not flow toward a destination. It simply moves, each ripple a universe unto itself. Even the sun above does not climb toward noon or dip toward dusk. It hangs, a silent witness to a moment that never ends. Could this be the truth we've forgotten? That time, with all its urgency and weight, is merely a story we've told ourselves to explain the unexplainable. This idea challenges the very fabric of how we experience life. If the past is gone, nothing more than a fading echo in the mind, and the future is a dream yet to be dreamed, then what are we left with? Perhaps it is freedom, a quiet, unshakable freedom to exist without the chains of what was or what might be. The ancient sages of the East spoke of enlightenment as a return to this now, a shedding of the illusions that bind us to a false sense of time. They saw the mind as a storyteller, spinning tales of yesterday and tomorrow to keep us distracted from the only reality there is, this moment, vast and infinite. Yet, how easily we slip back into the narrative. A memory flickers, a childhood laugh, a bitter goodbye, and we are pulled into a past that no longer exists. A worry surfaces, a deadline, a fear, and we are dragged into a future that may never arrive. What if we could let these stories fade? Not with effort, but with a gentle release, like letting a leaf drift away on the wind. What if we could sit beneath that tree once more, not as a person bound by time, but as a presence, timeless and whole? Take a moment to reflect on this. Breathe deeply, letting the weight of past and future dissolve, even if just for this fleeting now. Feel the stillness beneath the stories, the quiet expanse where time holds no sway. In this space, there is no need to be anything other than what you are, right here, right now. As you linger in this thought, consider one final whisper from the universe. What if time itself is the greatest illusion of all? What if the ticking of the clock, the turning of the calendar, the aging of our bodies are all just threads in a tapestry we've woven to give meaning to the void? Beneath the tree, in the eternal now, such questions do not demand answers. They simply hang in the air, like the rustle of leaves, inviting you to rest in the mystery, to let go of the need to know, and to simply be. Imagine for a moment that you are standing on the edge of reality itself, peering into a realm where the very fabric of existence seems to shimmer and fracture, defying every rule you thought you knew. Beneath the surface of our neatly ordered days, beyond the steady tick of clocks and the turning of calendars, lies a hidden world. A world where time, as we understand it, might not even exist. Welcome to the strange, unsettling domain of quantum physics, a place where the universe whispers secrets we are only beginning to hear, and where the illusion of time might be shattered into 1,000 unseen pieces. Picture a vast, invisible ocean, one not of water, but of probabilities, where the smallest building blocks of reality, particles tinier than we can fathom, dance in ways that defy logic. These particles, the very essence of everything that is, do not seem to care for the forward march of time that governs our lives. They exist in a state called superposition, a kind of ghostly in-between, where they can be in multiple places, multiple states, all at once. It's as if they hover outside the river of time, unbound by its current, laughing at our human insistence on past, present, and future. Could it be that at the deepest level of existence, time is not a flowing stream but a fractured mirror, reflecting only what we choose to see? Consider the implications of this for a moment. If particles can exist beyond the constraints of time, if they can flicker between possibilities without regard for sequence or order, then what does that mean for the world we inhabit? We measure our days in hours and minutes, marking our lives, by birthdays and anniversaries, yet beneath it all, the foundation of the universe might not even acknowledge such boundaries. It's a thought that feels almost vertiginous, as if the ground beneath us has turned to mist. Are we, in our careful counting of seconds, merely imposing a story on a reality that knows no such thing? Take a moment to reflect on this. Let the weight of it settle over you like a quiet fog. What if time, as we perceive it, is just a fragile construct, a veil draped over a truth too vast to grasp? This isn't mere speculation born of idle thought. It emerges from the strange and beautiful equations of quantum mechanics, a field of science that has unraveled mysteries once thought impossible. In this realm, time does not always flow in a straight line, if it flows at all. There are theories, whispered among physicists like ancient riddles, that suggest time might loop, fragment, or even stand still at the quantum level. Imagine a single particle caught in a moment of decision, existing simultaneously in what we would call before and after. It's as though the universe itself is playing a game of chess with rules we cannot read, moving pieces in ways that defy the very notion of sequence. And we, standing outside this game, can only watch in awe, wondering if our sense of time is nothing more than a shadow cast by our own limited perception. Let's linger on that image for a while. The universe as a chessboard, vast and incomprehensible, where time is not a player but a trick of the light. If this is true, then every moment we live, every memory we cherish, every plan we make for tomorrow might rest on a foundation that isn't as solid as we believe. Perhaps time is not the relentless arrow we imagine, piercing through the heart of our days, but rather a kaleidoscope, shifting and breaking with every turn of perspective. What does it mean to live in such a reality? Does it unsettle you to think that the very rhythm of your life might be an illusion, or does it free you to see beyond the confines of the clock? As we sit with this mystery, let the strangeness of it wash over you like a quiet tide. There's something almost poetic in the idea that time, the invisible force we so often fear or fight, might not be the master we thought it was. At the quantum level, where the universe hums its oldest song, perhaps there is no before or after, no beginning or end, only an eternal now, fractured into infinite possibilities. And in that fractured reality, we find a kind of wonder, a reminder that the world is far stranger, far more beautiful than our everyday minds can hold. Take a moment to breathe with this thought, to feel the vastness of a universe unbound by time, and to wonder what truths lie hidden in its deepest, most silent corners. Imagine for a moment that you've slipped into a realm where the rules of the waking world no longer hold. The air is thick with a strange, heavy stillness, as though the very fabric of reality has paused to catch its breath. You find yourself wandering through a landscape that feels both familiar and utterly alien. Towering trees with leaves of shimmering glass, a sky that pulses with colors you've never seen before, and a river that flows backward, defying all sense of direction. In this place, there is no ticking of a clock, no urgency of hours slipping away. A single step might span a lifetime, or a fleeting glance could stretch into centuries. This is the world of dreams, a hidden corner of the mind where time dissolves into something altogether different, something we can neither grasp nor measure. Have you ever woken from a dream so vivid, so vast, that it felt as though you'd lived an entire lifetime within it? Perhaps you've journeyed through cities that crumbled and rose again, loved and lost, fought battles and found peace, all before the first light of dawn crept through your window. And yet, when you check the hour, only a handful of minutes have passed, or perhaps the opposite has haunted you. A dream so brief, a fleeting whisper of a moment, a loved one's face, a forgotten melody, and yet it lingers in your soul as if it carried the weight of years. How can this be? How can the mind weave such intricate tapestries of experience, unbound by the steady march of seconds and minutes that governs our days? In dreams, time becomes a shapeshifter, a trickster that bends and folds at will. It's as though the mind, freed from the constraints of the physical world, steps into a deeper truth. A truth where time is not a river flowing ever forward, but a vast ocean where all moments exist at once, layered beneath the surface. Think of the stories you've dreamed, the ones that feel more real than memory itself. A conversation with someone long gone, their voice as clear as if they stood before you. A place you've never been, yet you know every stone, every shadow, as if you've walked its paths 1,000 times. In these moments, the boundary between past, present, and future blurs, leaving us to wonder, are we truly bound by time at all? Or is it merely a construct we cling to when our eyes are open? Take a moment to reflect on this. Have you ever felt, in the quiet aftermath of a dream, that you've glimpsed something beyond our ordinary understanding? A place where the clock's hands mean nothing, where the soul wanders free of temporal chains? Consider the ancient thinkers who pondered the nature of dreams and their timeless quality. In many traditions, dreams were seen as portals to other realms, places where the divine or the eternal could speak to us. The Greeks believed in the god Morpheus, who shaped dreams and walked through the minds of sleepers, weaving visions that transcended the mundane. Indigenous cultures across the world have long held that dreams connect us to ancestors, to spirits, to a time that is not linear but cyclical, ever turning. Even in our modern age, psychologists like Carl Jung suggested that dreams tap into a collective unconscious, a repository of human experience that exists outside the bounds of personal history. Could it be that in dreaming we touch something timeless, something that whispers of a reality where time is but a fleeting illusion? Now, let your mind drift to a dream you've had, one that clings to the edges of your memory like mist on a quiet morning. Picture yourself there again, standing at the threshold of that strange, boundless world. Notice how the air feels different, how the weight of hours and days falls away. Perhaps you're running through a field that stretches into infinity, or sitting in a room where the walls pulse with forgotten memories. In this space, there is no urgency, no deadline, no need to be anywhere but here. A single moment might unfold like a flower, revealing layers upon layers of meaning, or it might vanish in the blink of an eye, leaving behind only a faint echo of emotion. What if this fluidity, this refusal to be pinned down, is closer to the true nature of existence than the rigid structure we impose upon our waking lives? And so, we must ask ourselves a quiet, lingering question. Could our sense of time in the waking world be just another layer of dreaming? Are we, perhaps, caught in a grander illusion? One where we've convinced ourselves that time moves only forward, that it is solid and unchanging. In the stillness of sleep, when the mind roams free, we glimpse a different possibility, a reality where all moments are one, where the past breathes alongside the future, where eternity is not a distant concept, but a lived experience. What if waking up each morning is not a return to truth, but merely a shift from one dream to another, each with its own rules, its own illusions? Let this thought settle over you like a soft, heavy blanket. There's no need to answer, no need to unravel the mystery just yet. Simply rest in the wonder of it, in the possibility that time, as we know it, might be nothing more than a story we tell ourselves. A story that fades into whispers when we close our eyes and step into the timeless mind. Imagine, for a moment, a village perched on the edge of a vast, untamed forest, where the sun's arc across the sky is the only clock the people know. Here, in this remote corner of the world, time does not tick or chime. It breathes with the rhythm of the seasons, unfurling slowly through the blooming of wildflowers and the migration of birds. The villagers mark their days not by hours or minutes, but by the stories told around a flickering fire, by the harvest moons that signal a time to gather, and by the first frost that whispers of rest. In this place, time is not a line to be followed, but a circle that turns endlessly, weaving lives into the fabric of the earth itself. Now, let us wander deeper into this thought. Across the tapestry of human history, the way we perceive time has never been a singular truth, but a mirror of culture, belief, and necessity. In the ancient Hindu traditions, time is cyclical, an eternal wheel of creation and destruction, where empires rise and fall, only to be reborn in another age. A life is but a ripple in the vast ocean of cosmic cycles, each moment returning to its origin. Contrast this with the Western gaze, where time stretches forward like an arrow, piercing through past, present, and future in an unrelenting march toward progress or destiny. Here, every second is a step away from what was, a relentless push toward what might be. How curious it is that something so fundamental to our existence can be shaped so differently by the stories we tell ourselves. Think of that village again, where a child grows not by the calendar's dictate, but by the strength to carry water from the stream, by the wisdom to know when the rains will come. Compare this to our own hurried lives, where we are bound by the invisible chains of schedules, alarms, and deadlines. Our days are carved into fragments, each hour a box to be filled, each minute a currency to be spent. Yet, in our precision, have we lost something profound? Have we traded the deep, unspoken rhythm of the world for a mechanical pulse that drives us ever onward, blind to the cycles that hum beneath our feet? Take a moment to reflect on this. Imagine stepping out of the rush, just for a breath, and feeling the earth's slow heartbeat beneath you. Does time still feel like a race, or does it soften into something gentler, something vast? Let us linger on this divide a little longer. In many indigenous cultures, time is not a resource to be managed, but a relationship to be honored. It is tied to the land, to the ancestors, to the spirits that linger in the wind. An event does not happen at a specific hour. It happens when the moment is right, when the signs align. A ceremony begins not because the clock demands it, but because the stars are in their proper place, because the elders feel the air shift. What might we learn from such a perspective? Could it be that our obsession with measuring every fleeting second has distanced us from a deeper current, a flow that does not bend to our will but invites us to listen? And so, we must ask ourselves a quiet, haunting question. Is our way of seeing time the only truth, or merely one lens among many? If we were to shed our watches, silence our alarms, and live by the turning of the leaves or the call of the dawn, would time reveal itself as something softer, something alive? Or are we too entangled in our own constructs to ever truly see beyond them? Let this thought drift with you, like a leaf caught in a gentle stream, as we ponder whether time is a master we serve or a mystery we might yet come to know. Imagine for a moment a forgotten ruin standing alone on a windswept hill, its stone walls crumbling under the weight of centuries. Vines creep over what remains, weaving through cracks as if nature itself is reclaiming what was once built with such care. The air is still, heavy with the scent of earth and decay. And as you stand there, gazing at the slow unraveling of order into chaos, a question whispers in the depths of your mind. Why does time seem to push only in one direction, toward this inevitable decay? Why does it march relentlessly forward, dragging everything toward disorder, as if guided by an unseen hand? This is no idle musing, but a puzzle that has haunted thinkers for generations. In the quiet of this imagined ruin, we find ourselves brushing against a concept from the realm of physics: entropy, the measure of disorder in a system, the silent force that seems to define the very arrow of time. Picture a glass shattering on a cold stone floor, the pieces scattering in 1,000 directions. You can watch the moment of destruction replay in your mind, but never once will those fragments leap back together to form the glass anew. This is entropy at work, the universe's quiet insistence that things fall apart, that energy spreads out, that order slips into chaos. It is as though time itself is bound to this rule, a current we cannot swim against, no matter how desperately we might wish to turn back the clock. But why should this be so? Why does time flow only toward disintegration, never toward restoration? In the heart of that crumbling ruin, where moss softens the edges of broken stone, it feels as if the world is whispering a secret we cannot quite grasp. Scientists tell us that in the earliest moments of the universe, at the dawn of the Big Bang, everything was in a state of unimaginable order, a perfect symmetry. From that singular point, entropy began its slow, unyielding climb. Every star that burned, every planet that formed, every breath we take, it all contributes to this spreading chaos, this widening disorder. Time, then, seems to be nothing more than the shadow cast by entropy's advance, a marker of the universe's journey from perfection to randomness. Yet, as you stand among the ruins, letting the silence settle into your bones, another thought creeps in, unbidden and strange. Could time ever flow backward? Could there be a world, a reality, where entropy reverses, where the vines retreat, the stones reassemble, and the ruin rises once more as a gleaming fortress? In the realm of theory, some minds have dared to imagine such a possibility, a universe where the arrow of time turns on itself, where disorder becomes order once again. But here, in the quiet decay of this forgotten place, such a thought feels almost impossible, a dream too fragile to hold. Our experience, our very existence, is tethered to this forward march, to the relentless pull of things falling apart. Take a moment to reflect on this. Feel the weight of time's direction in the slow crumble of the world around you. Perhaps this is why the ruin before us feels so poignant, so heavy with meaning. It is a mirror to our own journey, a reminder that we too are caught in this current. Every wrinkle on our skin, every memory that fades, every dream that slips away, they are all signs of entropy's quiet work, of time's unyielding push. And yet, there is a strange beauty in this decay, isn't there? The vines that overtake the stone do not destroy but transform, weaving a new kind of order, a wild and untamed one. Maybe time's arrow, though it points toward chaos, also carves out space for something else, something raw, something real. So, as we linger here, in the shadow of what once was, let us ponder the mystery of this forward flow. Is it truly inevitable, or merely the only path we can see? Could there be corners of the cosmos, hidden from our gaze, where time dances to a different rhythm, where ruins rebuild themselves under a reversed sky? Or are we forever bound to this current, carried along by a force we can neither resist nor fully understand? Let the question hang in the air, like the faint rustle of leaves over broken stone, as we stand on the edge of time's silent, relentless march. Imagine for a moment that you could step outside the boundaries of now, slipping through the invisible walls that separate yesterday from tomorrow. What if time, this relentless force that governs every heartbeat, every breath, was not a river, flowing ever forward, but a vast, still lake, a mirror where past, present, and future ripple together in quiet harmony? Let's embark on a journey, not with machines or contraptions of science fiction, but through the boundless expanse of the mind, where time travel becomes a whisper of thought, a flicker of memory, a dream of what might be. Consider a memory so vivid, so crystalline, that it pulls you back as if you never left. Picture yourself as a child, standing in a sunlit field, the grass tickling your bare feet, the air thick with the scent of wildflowers. You can hear the distant laughter of a friend, the hum of bees weaving through the afternoon haze. Every detail sharpens, the warmth of the sun on your skin, the way the world seemed endless and unhurried. In this moment, are you not there again? Has time folded in on itself, dissolving the years between then and now? It's as if the mind, in its quiet rebellion, refuses to accept time's linear march, crafting portals to places long gone, where you can linger once more. But what of the future, that uncharted shore we strain to see through the fog of uncertainty? Close your eyes and imagine a day yet to come, a quiet evening decades from now, where you sit by a window, the world softer, slower, painted in hues of twilight. You hold a book perhaps, or a cup of tea, and the worries of today have faded into mere echoes. Can you feel the weight of that peace, the texture of a life shaped by choices not yet made? In this act of imagining, are you not traveling forward, stepping into a story unwritten, where time becomes clay in your hands to mold as you wish? This kind of journey, woven from the threads of memory and imagination, asks us to reconsider what time travel truly means. It is not about bending physics or breaking the laws of the universe, but about the stories we carry within us, stories of who we were, who we are, and who we might become. Every recollection of a lost moment, every daydream of a distant tomorrow, is a quiet defiance of time's supposed rules. We become travelers not through machines, but through the heart's silent language, where a single thought can bridge centuries. Take a moment to reflect on this. Where does your mind wander when it seeks to escape the present? Is it to a childhood street corner, the sound of rain on a tin roof, or to a future where the world feels kinder, safer? In these wanderings, do you sense the fragility of time, how it seems to dissolve under the weight of feeling? Perhaps this is the deepest truth of time travel, that it lives not in the realm of possibility, but in the quiet spaces of our inner world. The mind, after all, is a vast archive, a keeper of moments that refuse to fade, a dreamer of futures that shimmer just out of reach. What if the greatest voyages are not those taken across space, but those taken across the landscape of our own consciousness? What if, in remembering and imagining, we are already unbound by time's chains, free to roam wherever our thoughts dare to go? And so, as you sit in this stillness, let your mind drift. Recall a moment that shaped you, or conjure a vision of a day yet to dawn. Notice how time seems to soften, to blur at the edges, as if it too is willing to bend for just a little while. In this act of wandering, you are a traveler, stepping through the unseen doorways of your own story, where past and future are but whispers on the wind, waiting for you to listen. Imagine, for a moment, standing before a mirror in the dim light of dawn, tracing the faint lines that time has etched across your face. Each wrinkle, each grey strand, seems to whisper of years gone by, of moments that slipped through your fingers, like sand. We call this aging, the inevitable march of time made visible in our flesh and bone. But what if this transformation, this slow unraveling of youth, is not the ultimate truth of time? What if aging itself is just another illusion, a story we've told ourselves to make sense of a mystery far deeper than we can grasp? Consider the ancient bristlecone pine, a tree that stands atop desolate mountains, its gnarled branches twisting toward a sky it has known for thousands of years. Some of these silent sentinels have lived for over 5 millennia, watching empires rise and fall, witnessing the fleeting dance of human lives as if we were but a breath in their endless existence. Beneath their weathered bark, they carry no urgency, no dread of an end. They simply are, rooted in a rhythm that defies our frantic ticking clocks. And yet, we look upon our own bodies, see the signs of wear, and believe time is a force that consumes us. Why do we accept this as inevitable, when nature itself offers whispers of another way? Dive deeper into the enigma, and you'll find creatures that challenge the very notion of aging as time's decree. There is a jellyfish, a tiny marvel called Teratopsis dorni, often whispered of as immortal. When faced with starvation or injury, it does not surrender to decay. Instead, it reverts, collapsing its mature form back into a youthful state, beginning its life cycle anew. Over and over, it defies the forward march we assume time demands. If such a being can escape the trap of aging, could it be that what we perceive as the inevitable wear of years is merely a construct, a pattern we've woven into our understanding rather than a universal law? Think of your own journey through the years. As a child, time seemed an endless horizon, each day stretching into forever. But now perhaps, the weeks blur into months, and the mirror reflects a stranger you barely recognize. We tie this transformation to time, as though the seconds themselves carve their mark upon us. Yet, is it truly time that ages us? Or is it the weight of our choices, the stress of our hurried lives, the stories we tell ourselves about what it means to grow old? If we lived as the bristlecone pine, unburdened by the rush, or as the jellyfish, unafraid of endings, might we too slip through time's grasp, untouched by its supposed verdict? Take a moment to reflect on this. Feel the quiet rhythm of your breath, the steady pulse beneath your skin. Are you bound by time's arrow, or could you, in some unseen way, stand outside it, as eternal as the ancient tree or the undying sea creature? What if aging is not a sentence passed by time, but a belief we've chosen to carry, a veil we've draped over a truth too vast to face? And so, we must ask, is aging the ultimate proof of time's power, or merely another illusion we've accepted without question? Perhaps our bodies change not because time demands it, but because we've agreed to play by its rules. Imagine, just for a fleeting second, a world where we shed this belief, where the mirror shows not decay, but renewal, where each dawn is a chance to begin again. In the stillness of this thought, let the mystery linger. For in the end, whether aging is time's truth or time's trick, it remains a quiet riddle, one that hums beneath the surface of every breath we take. Imagine for a moment that you are holding an ancient, weathered book, its pages yellowed and curling at the edges, carrying the faint scent of forgotten libraries and distant eras. As you turn the brittle pages, the world around you dissolves, and hours slip away unnoticed, as if time itself has been swallowed by the story within. This is the strange alchemy of literature and myth, where the boundaries of time blur, and we are caught in a web spun from words and wonder. What is it about these timeless tales that bends our perception so effortlessly, that makes us forget the ticking of the clock and wander into realms where time seems to hold no sway? Dive deeper with me into this enigma, where stories become portals to a reality unbound by the ordinary march of minutes and hours. Consider the ancient Greek myth of Kronos, the god of time, a fearsome figure who devoured his own children out of fear they would overthrow him. In this tale, time is not a gentle stream, but a ravenous force, consuming all that it creates. It's a haunting image, isn't it? A reminder that even in our oldest stories, time is portrayed as something both inevitable and terrifying, a power we cannot escape, no matter how we try to outrun it. And yet, in the act of telling these myths, time seems to pause, as if the very recounting of Kronos' hunger holds the world still for a fleeting moment. Or wander into the surreal landscapes of Franz Kafka, where time twists and distorts like a fever dream. In his stories, a man might wait endlessly for a trial that never comes, or awaken to find himself transformed into something monstrous, with no sense of how the hours or days have passed. Reading Kafka, you feel time slipping through your fingers, not as a steady flow but as a fractured mirror, reflecting moments that refuse to align. It's as if these narratives peel back the illusion of time's order, revealing a chaos beneath, a chaos that mirrors the way we lose ourselves in a book, unaware of the world turning outside our window. Think of your own experiences, those moments when a story has ensnared you so completely that the sun has risen or set without your notice. Perhaps it was a novel that carried you to a distant land, or a childhood fable whispered by a grandparent, each word weaving a spell that made the hours vanish. In those stolen moments, time ceases to be a master and becomes a servant to the tale? Could it be that literature and myth are not just reflections of time, but keys to unlocking its deeper mystery? That they allow us to step outside its relentless current and glimpse something eternal? Take a moment to reflect on this. Recall a story that once captivated you, one that made the world fade away. Where did time go in those hours? Did it truly disappear? Or did it transform into something else? Something woven into the fabric of the narrative itself? As we linger on this thought, let's consider how these timeless stories are more than mere escapes. They are mirrors to our own existential dance with time. In every myth of gods and monsters, in every surreal tale of distorted hours, there lies a question about our own place in the grand tapestry of existence. Why do we craft stories where time is a villain, a trickster, or a void? Is it because, deep down, we sense that time is not the rigid framework we pretend it to be, but a malleable illusion shaped by our fears and dreams? Perhaps these narratives are humanity's way of wrestling with the unknowable, of trying to pin down a force that forever eludes us. And so, as we close the pages of that ancient book in our hands, let the weight of these stories settle over us like a quiet fog. Let us wonder at how they bend time, how they invite us to lose ourselves in their depths, and how they echo the very mystery we live within. For in every tale, from the devouring hunger of Kronos to the endless weights of Kafka's worlds, there whispers a truth. Time, as we know it, may be nothing more than a story we tell ourselves. A story as captivating, as elusive, and as eternal as the myths we hold dear. Imagine for a moment that you are not bound by the fleeting seconds of a ticking clock, nor tethered to the relentless march of days and years. Instead, picture yourself suspended in a vast, unending expanse, a place where the very concept of time stretches thin, dissolving into the infinite. What if I told you that the hours you count, the minutes you chase, are but a whisper against the backdrop of something far greater? Let us step beyond the familiar and gaze into the abyss of cosmic time, where billions of years unfold in the silent birth of a single star, and where you, a mere flicker of existence, are woven from the ancient threads of the universe itself. Consider the scale of what we call deep time, a realm so immense that our human understanding falters at its edge. In this boundless chronology, the formation of galaxies unfolds over eons. Each star a monument to patience carved by forces we can scarcely grasp. Picture a nebula, a swirling cradle of gas and dust, glowing faintly in the void. Over millions of years, gravity weaves its slow magic, drawing particles together until a star ignites, its light piercing the darkness for the first time. This is not a process measured in hours or even lifetimes, but in stretches of time so vast that entire civilizations could rise and fall in the blink of a cosmic eye. And yet, this is the very fabric from which we are made. The atoms in your body, the calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, they were forged in the hearts of ancient stars, exploded into the void long before the earth itself took shape. You are, in a way, a child of deep time, carrying within you the echoes of cataclysms that transpired billions of years ago. Now let your mind drift to the age of our own planet, some 4.5 billion years of ceaseless transformation. Mountains have risen and crumbled, oceans have swallowed continents only to retreat, and life has danced through endless cycles of birth and extinction. In the grand tapestry of this timeline, the entirety of human history is but a fleeting moment, a single breath in the long sigh of the earth. If you were to compress the planet's existence into a single day, with midnight marking its fiery birth, then humanity would appear only in the final second before the clock strikes 12 again. Does this not stir a quiet unease within you? That all our struggles, our triumphs, our endless rush to build and conquer might be nothing more than a ripple on the surface of an unfathomable ocean? Take a moment to reflect on this. Let the weight of deep time settle over you like a soft, heavy blanket. Feel the insignificance of your own fleeting years, not with despair, but with a strange, comforting humility. In the face of such eternity, the urgency of tomorrow's deadlines, the weight of yesterday's regrets, they begin to fade, don't they? What is a missed appointment? A forgotten promise when measured against the slow drift of a comet through the void. Its icy tail tracing a path across millennia, and yet, there is something hauntingly beautiful in this disparity. We are specks of stardust, yes, but specks that can ponder, that can wonder at the very forces that birthed us. We stand at the intersection of the infinitesimal and the infinite, gazing up at a night sky that holds the story of our origins. Every twinkling star you see is a messenger from deep time, its light traveling across unimaginable distances to reach your eyes, a relic of a past so distant it defies comprehension. What does it mean to live in a universe where such scales coexist? Are we diminished by the vastness, or are we elevated by the miracle of our own fleeting awareness? Let us linger on this thought a little longer. Imagine yourself as a grain of sand on an endless shoreline, washed by waves that have churned for billions of years. Each wave carries the memory of ancient seas, of creatures long vanished, of continents reshaped by time's unrelenting hand. And yet in your smallness, you are part of this story. The same forces that sculpted the cosmos sculpted you. Does this not awaken a quiet reverence, a sense of belonging to something far greater than the ticking of a clock? As you sit with this, let the boundaries of your own timeline blur. Forget for a moment the rush of the present, the pull of the future. Instead, feel the weight of eternity pressing gently against you, a reminder that time, as we know it, is but a fragile lens through which we glimpse the infinite. Perhaps our human measures, our seconds, our centuries, are nothing more than a convenient fiction, a way to anchor ourselves in a reality too vast to fully embrace. Or perhaps, in some strange way, our brief existence matters precisely because it is so fleeting, a momentary spark against the endless dark. So I ask you, as we hover on the edge of this cosmic clock, does human time hold any true significance in the face of eternity? Or are we merely whispers in a conversation that began long before us and will continue long after we are gone? Let this question linger in the quiet of your mind, like a distant star flickering in the night, inviting you to wonder, to dream, to surrender to the mystery of it all. Imagine a moment where the world seems to pause, where the relentless tick of the clock falters and time itself stretches like a thin thread pulled taut, ready to snap. Perhaps you felt it before, a heartbeat of pure adrenaline in the split second before a car swerves too close, or the golden glow of a perfect afternoon slipping through your fingers faster than you can grasp it. These are the moments when time reveals its secret. It is not the steady, unyielding force we imagine it to be. It bends, it warps, it dances to a rhythm we cannot predict. And in that fleeting distortion, we are left to wonder, does time truly flow as we believe? Or does it mold itself to the shape of our emotions? Consider a day when everything seemed to unravel in slow motion. Maybe it was a near miss, a stumble on a busy street, where the world narrowed to the screech of tires and the thud of your own pulse. In that sliver of a second, time did not march forward as it should. It lingered, unfurling each detail with agonizing clarity. The glint of sunlight on a windshield, the sharp intake of your breath, the frozen faces of strangers caught in the same suspended instant. What should have been a fleeting blink became a small eternity, as if the universe itself held its breath alongside you. And yet, once the danger passed, time snapped back into place, racing forward with a ferocity that left you dizzy, breathless, questioning whether those endless seconds had ever truly happened. Now, contrast that with a memory of pure, unadulterated joy, a day so perfect it seemed to vanish before you could savor it. Picture yourself on a sunlit beach, the waves whispering. Against the shore, laughter echoing in the warm air as you shared a moment with someone you love. You wished to hold on to it, to stretch that afternoon into forever. But time had other plans. It slipped away like sand through your fingers, each hour collapsing into the next until the sun dipped below the horizon and the day was gone. Why does time rush through our happiest moments, yet crawl through our darkest? Could it be that time is not a river flowing at a constant pace, but a mirror reflecting the weight of our hearts? This phenomenon, this strange elasticity of time, isn't mere imagination. Science tells us that our perception of time is deeply tied to the intensity of our experiences. In moments of crisis, our brains flood with adrenaline, sharpening our senses, recording every detail as if to ensure our survival. A second becomes a canvas, painted with 1,000 brushstrokes, each one vivid and deliberate. In contrast, during periods of calm or routine, our minds drift, glossing over the mundane, compressing hours into mere impressions. A day of idle waiting can feel endless, yet a week of quiet routine might blur into nothingness when we look back. Is time, then, a construct of our awareness, a story shaped not by clocks but by the depth of our attention? Take a moment to reflect on this. Recall a time when the world seemed to slow down or speed up beyond reason. Where were you? What were you feeling? Let the memory surface gently, like a leaf drifting on still water, and notice how time seemed to bend to the contours of that moment. Did it stretch into an unbearable infinity, or did it race past before you could catch your breath? As we linger on this thought, consider the broader implication. If time can feel so fluid in our personal experiences, what does that say about its true nature? We wear watches, set alarms, mark our calendars with meticulous precision, all in an effort to tame this invisible force. Yet in these fleeting distortions, those seconds of terror or fleeting hours of bliss, time reveals its defiance. It refuses to be pinned down, slipping through our systems and structures like mist through a net. Perhaps time is not the rigid framework we've built our lives upon, but a living, breathing thing, responsive to the tides of our inner world. And so we're left with a quiet, lingering question, one that hums beneath the surface of every hurried morning and every endless night. Is time truly fixed, a universal constant marching ever forward? Or does it bend and sway to the rhythm of our emotions? Could it be that time, in its deepest essence, is not a line we walk, but a feeling we inhabit, a mirror of our joys, our fears, our very humanity? As the world turns and the hours pass, let this mystery settle over you like a soft shadow, inviting you to wonder, to feel, to simply be in this ever-shifting dance of now. Imagine for a moment that you're standing at the edge of an ancient forest, shrouded in a delicate mist that clings to the earth like a whispered secret. The air is cool, heavy with the scent of damp moss and unseen blooms. And as you take a tentative step forward, the world seems to hush around you. Each footfall echoes softly, as if not just marking your path, but reverberating through unseen cycles, endless loops of existence that have played out long before you arrived and will continue long after you're gone. What if time, this invisible force we bow to, is not a straight line marching ever forward, but a circle, a deception woven by our own minds? What if every moment you've lived is destined to return, to be lived again and again in an eternal dance? This is the realm of philosophical giants like Immanuel Kant and Friedrich Nietzsche, whose thoughts on time pull us into a labyrinth of wonder and unease. Kant, with his quiet rigor, argued that time is not something out there, an entity we can touch or measure with ticking hands, but a framework our minds impose on the chaos of experience. It's as if we've built an invisible cage to contain the raw, untamed nature of reality, labeling moments as past, present, future, to make sense of our fleeting lives. Walk deeper into this misty forest and feel the weight of that idea. The trees around you, gnarled and ancient, care nothing for your clocks or calendars. They stand as silent witnesses to a rhythm far older, far slower than our hurried counting. Could it be that time, as we know it, is merely a story we tell ourselves to feel less lost in the vastness? And then there's Nietzsche, whose vision of eternal recurrence pierces through the fog with a chilling clarity. He asks us to imagine that every choice, every joy, every sorrow we've ever known will repeat itself infinitely across the expanse of existence. That argument you had years ago, the laughter shared under a summer sky, the quiet ache of a sleepless night, all of it circling back endlessly. As you pause beneath a towering oak, its branches stretching into the mist like skeletal fingers, consider this. If every step you take in this forest is one you've taken countless times before, does time hold you captive, or does it set you free through its repetition? Is there a strange comfort in knowing that nothing is truly lost, that every moment is preserved in an unending loop? Take a moment to reflect on this. Let the stillness of the forest seep into your bones and feel the weight of an eternity that might already be yours. Nietzsche's challenge is not just a thought experiment. It's a mirror held up to our deepest fears and desires. If time is a cycle, then every mistake is not a scar, but a refrain. Every triumph, not a fleeting victory, but a chorus that echoes forever. The mist around you seems to thicken now, blurring the edges of the path, and you might wonder if freedom lies in resisting this repetition or in embracing it fully. Could we live bolder, love deeper, if we believed that every act reverberates through an infinite now? Or does the thought trap us, binding us to a wheel we cannot escape? The forest offers no answers, only the soft rustle of leaves, as if time itself is whispering through the branches, teasing us with riddles we may never solve. As you stand there, caught between the philosophies of a constructed time and an eternal return, let the mystery linger. Perhaps time is neither a cage nor a circle, but something softer, more elusive, a veil we pull over the unknown to shield ourselves from its glare. Maybe Kant was right, and we've crafted time from the threads of our own perception. Or perhaps Nietzsche's vision holds a truth we're too afraid to face, that we are bound to relive our lives in an endless echo. Whatever the case, the forest remains, indifferent to our musings. Its misty depths a reminder that some questions are not meant to be answered, only felt. Let that thought settle over you like the cool damp of the air, and simply be for a moment in this timeless place where the boundaries of now and forever blur into one. Imagine for a moment that you've returned to a place you thought you'd forgotten. A childhood home, perhaps, nestled at the edge of a quiet town where the air still carries the scent of rain on old wood. As you step through the door, the world outside fades, and the creak of the floorboards beneath your feet unlocks something deep within. A memory flickers to life, vivid as if it happened only yesterday, though decades have slipped by. In that instant, time seems to fold in on itself, compressing years into a single heartbeat. Or perhaps it stretches, turning a fleeting glance at a dusty photograph into an eternity of longing. How can something so intangible, so fleeting, hold such power over us? Does time truly exist as a steady stream? Or is it only alive in the fragile dance of what we remember? Consider how memory toys with our sense of time, weaving a tapestry that is neither linear nor reliable. A single summer afternoon from your youth, running barefoot through tall grass, the sun warm on your skin, might feel more real, more expansive than the countless mundane days that followed. Yet, there are years of your life, entire chapters, that have dissolved into a vague haze, as if they never happened at all. Why does the mind cling to certain moments, painting them in vivid hues, while letting others slip into shadow? Is it because those moments carry the weight of emotion, of meaning? Or is there something deeper at play, some hidden mechanism of the soul that decides what to preserve and what to release into the void? Think of memory as a quiet lake, its surface still and unassuming, but beneath lies a world of depths and currents. When you revisit a place or hear a familiar song, it's as though a stone has been dropped into that lake, sending ripples outward, stirring fragments of the past to the surface. A scent of freshly baked bread might summon your grandmother's kitchen, the warmth of her voice, the texture of her apron as you clung to her side. In that moment, time ceases to be a forward march. It becomes a circle, a loop that draws you back to a version of yourself you thought was lost. But is that memory truly accurate? Or has time painted over it, softening the edges, adding colors that were never there? We trust our recollections to anchor us, to define who we are, yet they are as malleable as clay, shaped by the hands of longing and forgetfulness. Take a moment to reflect on this. Close your eyes if you wish, and summon a memory that feels vivid, almost tangible. Perhaps it's a quiet evening spent with someone you loved, or a solitary walk through a forest when the world seemed to hold its breath just for you. Notice how time seems to vanish as you linger there, how the years between then and now dissolve like mist. Are you truly separated from that moment, or does it live within you, timeless, waiting to be touched again? Now, let's wander deeper into this mystery. What if time itself is nothing more than a construct of memory? What if the past only exists because we carry it in fragments, piecing it together like a shattered mirror, never quite seeing the whole picture? Philosophers have long pondered whether time is an external force, a river that flows whether we notice it or not, or if it is merely a story woven by the mind. If we were to lose all memory, if every trace of yesterday vanished, would time still hold meaning? Imagine waking each day with no recollection of what came before, no anticipation of what lies ahead. Would time still march forward, or would it collapse into an endless now, a single note held in silence? There's a haunting beauty in this thought, a quiet unease that lingers like the last light of dusk. Consider the old house once more, its walls steeped in echoes of laughter and sorrow. As you stand in its empty rooms, you might feel the presence of those who lived there before you, their lives layered beneath your own, preserved not in stone, but in the fleeting impressions they left behind. Yet, without your memory to summon them, without your mind to bridge the gap, do those moments truly exist? Are they gone, scattered like dust, or do they hover just out of reach, waiting for someone to remember? And so, we are left with a question that hums softly in the stillness. Does time exist only in what we remember? Is it a thread spun from the fragments we choose to hold? A fragile illusion that binds us to who we were and who we might become? Perhaps time is not a force that moves us forward, but a mirror that reflects the stories we tell ourselves, the moments we cannot or will not let go. As you linger in this thought, let it settle over you like a gentle fog, obscuring the rush of the world beyond. There is no need to answer, no need to grasp. Simply let the mystery of memory and time weave its quiet spell, carrying you deeper into the night. Imagine for a moment that you are standing at the edge of the universe, gazing into an abyss so profound that even the concept of now begins to unravel. There, in the crushing darkness of a black hole, lies a mystery that defies everything. We think we know about the passage of moments, the steady march of hours. What if, as you cross that invisible boundary, the event horizon, time itself simply stops? Picture yourself falling, not through space, but through a void where the ticking of the cosmic clock falls silent, where the very fabric of before and after is torn apart. What does it mean for time to end? Not just for you, but for the universe itself. Could such a place truly exist? Or is this yet another illusion woven by the strange laws of reality? Let us linger on this haunting thought as we drift closer to the heart of a black hole, a place where physics as we understand it begins to crumble. Scientists speak of the event horizon as a point of no return, a boundary beyond which nothing, not light, not matter, not even information, can escape. But what of time? Some theories suggest that as you approach this edge, the relentless pull of gravity distorts the very essence of duration. To an observer far away, watching from the safety of distant stars, your descent would seem to slow, stretching infinitely as you near the horizon. You would appear frozen, a silhouette suspended in an eternal moment, never quite crossing the threshold. Yet, from your perspective, the fall continues, plunging you into a realm where the rules of time no longer apply. What would you feel in that descent? Would seconds still hold meaning? Or would you sense the unraveling of something fundamental, something you've carried with you since the first breath of your existence? Dive deeper still, past the event horizon, into the singularity, a point of infinite density where space and time are compressed into nothingness. Here, in this speculative heart of darkness, some physicists whisper that time itself may cease to exist. The arrow that has guided us from past to future, the rhythm that has shaped every memory and every hope, might simply vanish. Imagine it, a place where cause and effect collapse, where there is no before, no after, only an incomprehensible now, or perhaps not even that. It's as if the universe, in its most extreme corners, hides a secret it refuses to share, a truth about time's fragility that we can only grasp through the faint echoes of equations and thought experiments. Does time truly end here? Or does it transform into something beyond our capacity to fathom? Take a moment to reflect on this, to feel the weight of a reality where the very foundation of our existence might dissolve. Consider the implications of such a place, not just for science, but for the way we understand our own fleeting lives. We live bound by the steady progression of days, by the inevitable turning of seasons, by the quiet assurance that tomorrow will follow today. But if time can cease within the depths of a black hole, might it also be less permanent, less absolute than we believe? Could there be other edges beyond the physical, within the recesses of our minds or the mysteries of the cosmos, where time slips away like mist through open fingers? The unease creeps in, not from fear of the unknown, but from the realization that what we hold as certain might be nothing more than a fragile thread, stretched thin across the vastness of existence. Let this thought linger as you imagine yourself suspended in that endless fall, neither moving forward nor backward, caught in a stillness that defies description. What would it mean to exist without time? Would your memories still hold their shape, or would they scatter like dust in a windless void? Perhaps, in that silence beyond the event horizon, there is no need for such questions. Perhaps there is only a profound quiet, a release from the burden of counting moments, of chasing what was or what might be. And yet, as we hover on the brink of this enigma, a whisper remains. Could the end of time be just another illusion, a shadow cast by a universe that delights in its own mystery? Let this uncertainty settle over you like a soft, dark veil, inviting not answers, but a deeper wonder as you drift through the uncharted edges of reality. Imagine, for a moment, a world without clocks, without calendars, without the relentless ticking that governs our days. Picture a quiet village nestled in a forgotten valley, where the sun rises and falls not as a marker of hours, but as a gentle rhythm of life itself. Here, no one hurries, no one counts the minutes. Days blend into seasons, and seasons into stories told by firelight. What if time, as we understand it, is not a universal truth, but a dream we've all agreed to share? What if this invisible thread we weave through our lives is nothing more than a collective hallucination, a fragile pact we've made to give shape to the chaos of existence? Let's linger on this thought, allowing it to unfold like a whisper in the stillness of night. We've built our world around the concept of time, haven't we? We've carved it into seconds, minutes, hours, neat little boxes to hold the vastness of our experience. We rush to appointments, we mourn missed opportunities, we dread the future's uncertainty, all because we believe in this unseen force that pushes us forward. But what if we stepped away from this illusion? What if, just for a moment, we let go of the ticking hands and lived by the pulse of our own breath, by the rhythm of the earth beneath our feet? Could we unravel the spell of time if we simply stopped believing in it? Picture yourself standing on the edge of that village I spoke, of where the air is thick with the scent of damp earth after rain. There are no watches here, no alarms to shatter the quiet. The people move with a kind of effortless grace, guided not by schedules but by the needs of the moment, planting seeds when the soil feels ready, resting when the body calls for it. Imagine joining them, shedding the weight of deadlines like an old, tattered coat. Days pass, or perhaps they don't. You can't quite tell. Time becomes a distant memory, a story you once heard but no longer need. And in this strange, unmeasured space, you begin to wonder, does time exist at all outside our shared belief in it? Is it a river we've imagined to carry us, when in truth, we've always been standing still? Take a moment to reflect on this. Let the idea settle into the quiet corners of your mind. Feel the possibility of a life unbound by the clock, where the only measure of a day is the warmth of the sun on your skin or the laughter shared with another soul. What would it mean to live in such a world? Would we lose ourselves in aimlessness, or would we find a deeper truth, a rhythm older than any calendar? Consider too the way we've constructed time as a collective act of faith. Across centuries, we've agreed to mark the solstices, to celebrate New Year's, to mourn the passing of eras. We've synchronized our lives to this invisible framework, as if without it we'd tumble into nothingness. But what if this agreement is merely a mirage, a shared vision born of our need for order? In ancient myths, time was often a god, a fickle, untamable force that even the mightiest heroes could not outrun. Yet here we are, pretending to tame it with our gadgets and grids. What if we've only entangled ourselves further in a dream we cannot wake from? Now, let this thought drift with you, soft as a leaf falling in autumn. Imagine a world where we've all forgotten the concept of time, where the word itself has faded from our tongues. Humanity lives by instinct alone, rising with the light, resting with the dark, moving through life as naturally as the tides. Would we still feel the weight of urgency, the sting of regret? Or would we discover that time was never the master we thought it to be, but a shadow we cast upon ourselves? Perhaps, in the end, time is only as real as we allow it to be, a fragile illusion sustained by our collective gaze. So, let this question linger in the quiet of your mind as the world grows still around you. If we stopped believing in time, would it cease to exist? Or is it woven so deeply into the fabric of our being that even in forgetting, we'd still feel its phantom touch? Let this mystery hover like a faint mist, inviting you to wonder, to dream, to rest in the timeless space between one thought and the next. Imagine for a moment that you are standing on the edge of a boundless void, a place where the very notion of a ticking clock dissolves into nothingness. There is no rush of minutes, no weight of hours pressing against your shoulders. Here, in this vast, silent expanse, the world as you know it ceases to churn. There is only stillness, a stillness so profound that it feels as if the universe itself has exhaled and forgotten to draw breath again. What would it mean to exist in such a place, beyond the relentless march of time? What would it feel like to let go of every deadline, every memory, every fleeting worry, and simply rest in an eternal now? Picture yourself sinking deeper into this void, a space that stretches infinitely in all directions, untouched by the hands of change. There is no sunrise to herald a new day, no twilight to whisper of endings. The air, if you can call it that, hums with a quiet that is not empty but full, an unspoken presence that cradles you in its embrace. You are not bound by the past, for it has no hold here, nor are you tethered to the future, for it has no shape in this endless moment. There is only this, a stillness that seems to seep into your bones, washing away the restless currents of thought that so often pull you under. Consider how much of your life is shaped by the invisible chains of time. The morning alarm that drags you from dreams, the calendar that dictates your days, the unspoken fear of moments slipping through your fingers like sand. But here, in this imagined sanctuary, those chains fall away. You are free to simply be, unburdened by the need to measure or mark your existence. It is as if you have stepped outside the story of your life, no longer a character racing towards some unseen conclusion, but a quiet observer, watching the world unfold without hurry or haste. Take a moment to reflect on this. Breathe deeply and feel the weight of time lift, even if just for a heartbeat. Let your mind wander deeper into this timelessness. Imagine that every thought of tomorrow, every echo of yesterday, is gently erased, leaving only the purity of now. There is a peace in this erasure, a serenity that feels both unfamiliar and ancient, as if you've rediscovered something you've always known but somehow forgotten. Perhaps this is what the mystics and sages have spoken of through the ages. A state beyond the illusion of passing hours, where the soul rests in a truth that needs no explanation. Could it be that timelessness is not a distant dream, but a quiet reality waiting beneath the surface of our hurried lives? As you linger in this boundless stillness, notice how the very idea of change seems to dissolve. There is no need to become anything, to achieve anything, to chase anything. The void does not demand your progress or your purpose. It simply holds you, as it holds all things, in a gentle, unchanging embrace. And in this holding, there is a kind of freedom, a release from the endless striving that defines so much of our existence. What would it mean to carry even a whisper of this freedom back into your waking world? To move through your days not as a prisoner of time, but as a quiet traveler, aware of its illusion yet untouched by its grip. Breathe deeply once more, letting this eternal stillness settle into you. There is no rush to leave this place, no urgency to return to the ticking of clocks or the turning of pages. Here, you are enough, just as you are, suspended in a moment that neither begins nor ends. And as you rest in this timeless void, let a soft question linger in your mind. Could it be that this peace, this boundless now, is not a fantasy, but the deepest truth of who you are? Let that thought drift with you, like a faint star in an endless night, guiding you gently toward a rest that knows no hurry. Imagine for a moment the faint, rhythmic ticking of a clock in the stillness of midnight. The world outside is hushed, wrapped in the heavy blanket of sleep, and yet here you are, listening to that steady pulse, a quiet reminder of something vast and unknowable. The sound seems to slow now, each tick stretching into an eternity, as if the clock itself is weary, ready to dissolve into a dream. What is this force we call time? This invisible thread that weaves through every moment of our existence? Has our journey through its many faces, its illusions, its distortions, its cosmic weight, brought us any closer to understanding? Or are we simply standing at the edge of an endless mystery? As the ticking fades into a whisper, let's linger here, in this quiet space between 1 second and the next. We've wandered through the constructs of ancient minds, tracing the shadow of sundials and the weight of calendars. We've felt the fabric of time bend near the abyss of black holes, where a single heartbeat might span centuries. We've questioned whether the past and future are mere stories we tell ourselves, and whether the present is the only truth we can touch. And yet, with every question, time slips further from our grasp, a phantom that dances just beyond the reach of reason. Could it be that time is not something to be solved, but something to be felt? A riddle etched into the very rhythm of our breath? Consider the clock again, its hands now barely moving, as if hesitating to mark another moment. Perhaps it knows something we do not. Perhaps it senses that time, in its deepest essence, is not a line or a circle, not a river or a cage, but a mirror, a reflection of our own longing to make sense of the infinite. We chase it, measure it, fear its passing. And yet, in moments like this, when the world is still and the night is deep, don't you feel it? That quiet whisper of eternity, suggesting that time might not be our master, but our companion, a Mystery we are invited to ponder, not to conquer. Take a moment to reflect on this. Let the silence settle around you. Imagine the clock's ticking fading entirely, melting into the soft hum of the universe. What if time's greatest gift is not in its answers, but in its questions? What if the very act of wondering, of reaching for something we may never fully grasp, is what binds us to the timeless? As the night stretches on and the boundary between waking and dreaming begins to blur, let this mystery cradle you. Let it be the gentle current that carries you into rest, a reminder that some riddles are not meant to be solved, but to be lived. And so, as the last echo of that imagined clock dissolves into the dark, we rest here at the edge of time's veil. Not with certainty, not with finality, but with a quiet acceptance. Perhaps time is nothing more than a dream we share, a story whispered across generations, a puzzle to ponder as the world slips softly into sleep. Let this thought linger with you, like the last note of a melody, fading into the infinite.